Oh my goodness, CC.
In Vegas, we are on the road to WrestleMania, WrestleMania 40, WrestleMania XL, extra large, the biggest WrestleMania of all time. Las Vegas! Acknowledge me! I choose The Rock. Finally, The Rock has come back to Las Vegas. Members of the press, world watching, I introduce you to the Cody Crybabies. WrestleMania 40, Philadelphia, The Rock and Roman Reigns, the Universal Champion versus the People's Champion. Whether you like it or you don't like it, the People's Champion in the biggest main event in the history of professional wrestling, bound by blood.
But it is not your right, it is not your distinction to determine the main event. It is mine. I won the Royal Rumble. At WrestleMania 40, in the main event, I choose you, Roman Reigns. If the High Chief, his grandfather, was here, they'd be ashamed of you.
And when you're talking about his blood, you're talking about my blood. So now, we have a problem.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, welcome, welcome, welcome to Season 7, Episode 4 of the phenomenon known to all as Saturday afternoon's main event. If you are dumb, stupid, blind, plain irrelevant, and you do not know who I am, I suggest you go to school, go into your library, get the biggest dictionary you can find, preferably Merriam-Webster, and look me up under the word phenomenal. Ladies and gentlemen, it is I, the Phenomenal One, and of course here on Saturday afternoon's main event, I am not here alone because I am joined by my co-host, my comrade, my best friend, my former degenerate, the one, the only limousine riding, jet flying, kiss stealing, wheeling dealing son of a gun who is not having a hard time holding his alligators down. So, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, give me 2 claps and a peep snatch.
Woo! Yes, yes, yes. It seems like something happened during the last 72 hours. I don't know what. Some sort of big kerfuffle. Some kind of noise in the world of wrestling. I really can't put my hand on it.
You know what?
I guess we'll
I don't
talk
know.
about it. I guess
For
some
some
point,
reason,
whatever it is.
I don't think I can put my. I don't think it's something that you can feel, peeps. I don't think
Oh,
it's something that you can see either. But
oh,
you know what it is? It's something you can smell. And something
ice cream
tells me-
bars. No,
No.
no, not ice cream bars.
Tony Khan's Angel Dust. Not that either.
Oh boy.
Yeah, okay, we shouldn't have went down there. But guys, look. Long behold, it's the both of us. It's a Saturday afternoon. It's Saturday afternoon's main event. And you know, of course, we have a good show for you guys today. And we're going to do our best in our power to give you guys what we know best. Laughs, good times, and all the wrestling news possible. If you're right now tuning in from either Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, or if you're tuning in from any other social media platform, whether it be IG as well, you join in the link. We appreciate you guys. Listen, we love the support, and we're just going to go ahead and do what we do best and dive into this thing, right, peeps?
Yes, sir.
All right, then. So look. You know, first and foremost, when you have to go ahead and start the show, you have to hear a sound. That's it. Okay, yeah. Okay, that was it. Okay, good. So, guys, you know what that means? It's time for Wrestling Crash Course.
Yes.
First news of the day. Let's just go ahead and put it out there. Guys,
Yes.
we're not waiting until March. Mercedes Mone is all elite. Okay, the girl,
Yes.
Sasha Banks is with Tony Khan now. The woman has gone to the dark side. This woman is now going, instead of seeing full crowds, this lady will go ahead and start seeing half-empty hard cam sides. Okay, this woman is now going to be the face of a women's division that has Britt Baker. So now I have a shot at rooting against Sasha Banks for once in my life. Crazy enough, but it's insane, peeps, that we've sat here for about a month and we've been sitting here saying, look, there's a good chance she's going here. Then you have the other side of people saying, okay, there's reports that she's doing this. There's reports that she's doing that. There's reports that she's going ahead and training with Tyler Breeze and Bayley before the Royal Rumble. Now stirring the pot of people saying, oh, she might be at the Rumble. Lo and behold, she doesn't show up at the Rumble. But now, peeps, the final nail in the coffin was Tony Khan announcing that AEW will be going to the TD Garden, which is going to be held in Boston, Massachusetts, the hometown of Mercedes Varnado. But not only that, peeps, he literally gives it away. Instead of writing Boston the way he had to write it, you put in 2 S's. Boston. Peeps.
With dollar signs, no less.
With dollar signs. Peeps, how stupid. Like Tony Khan's doing, I know he was just trying to give it away. But aren't you
Yes.
supposed to be building suspense to it?
Subtlety is not lost on this person. That goes without saying. I think what I think he was trying to do is make sure that those loyal fans that have stuck with him through all of the drama that's been going on in AEW for the better part of the last 2 months, between the injuries and then the embarrassment of CM Punk leaving the company and showing up on WWE programming, and then all of the other subsequent things that have happened. I think he figured that this is a way to get the fans something that are there sticking with AEW, something that's going to keep their attention and say, oh, well, you know. Now, the problem is, and this is something that we've talked about on this show previously, is the overused retread technique of announcing an announcement. And I think when we knew that the announcement was coming, at the timing that they brought it up, we pretty much figured it had something to do with Mercedes Mone. We weren't expecting to have some kind of, oh, it's going to be in Boston. We didn't know any of that stuff. But it was the same typical Tony Khan announcement. Hey, guys, we're going to tell you what's happening, guys. And we're going to have it in 5 weeks, guys. So stay tuned, guys. Have fun, guys. And it's
Thanks,
the same.
Guys.
Oh
God! And the
It's
same,
the same
smile. I kid you not.
You know what he looks like? He looks like somebody is behind him, and somebody like stuck a cane in his back or a screwdriver in him and said, "Smile, smile. You don't know how to smile. Smile more." That's what it seems like. It's like he comes across as awkward and uncomfortable in front of the camera.
He looks like he's trying to go ahead and record something while Vince McMahon is on the other side of the camera trying to.
Oh,
Let me not.
Yeah.
Guys, I digress. First one of the day.
There you go. First of the day. Good grief.
Oh,
Yeah.
man.
You're going to be like Taz, I digress Jones today, right?
Oh, no. We know what that means for the comment section. Somebody's about to put a rant out on Taz. Oh,
yeah.
gosh. Okay, be prepared. Anywho, look, you already know, March 13th, I'm going to be in front of my television screen. I'll be seated.
Yes.
I'll be looking forward to this because, of course, this is Mercedes Mone. It's Sasha Banks.
Yes.
Don't hate the woman.
She's been teased for the better part of 6 months.
Exactly. And for once, I get to see Sasha Banks on an American television channel that isn't Access TV. Don't you think I'm at least a little bit happy? And you should be too. Okay.
Yes.
Let's be for real here. Okay. So
She should instantly make that division better. The women's division in AEW is not absolutely horrible, but they are showing some progress. Of course. Mercedes is going to add some kind of credibility to it. How much different it remains to be seen.
Look, I mean, honestly, I think of the little dream matches that we can have here and there. Look at it. Mercedes versus Jamie Hayter once she returns. Mercedes Mone versus, as I stated before, Dr. Britt Baker, DMD. Okay? Her versus the virtuosa, Deonna Purrazzo.
I would love to see
her
that.
Versus timeless Toni Storm. I mean, peeps.
Thunder Rosa.
As long as I don't have to see her in the next couple of months. Exactly. But at least as long as I don't have to see her in the next couple of months going up against Abaddon, I think we're safe here, peeps. Just saying.
Oh, good
Just
grief.
saying.
Yes.
You know what, guys? I think Peeps' Boost Mobile Wi-Fi is having issues right now. Peeps, Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Oh, God.
I can definitely hear you.
Okay, you're kind of a little behind. You're good now. It seems like you're good now.
Okay.
Okay. Let's be safe here. Comment section, you guys can go off on Peeps. But, guys, as anything else, we wish Mercedes the best. We can't wait to see her show up in AEW. And we'll see what the future has in store for the company as a whole. From there, we move from one company to another in the world of WWE, but we move to its subdivision in NXT. Melo has done it. He has done what we said he was going to do since last year.
Yes.
Melo has officially turned heel and turned on his buddy Trick Williams. And the way that they presented it again seems like Sean is taking a page out of his best friend's book by letting the ticker come up at the bottom, the cool little trademark to end the show, and then out of nowhere, Carmelo Hayes goes into business for himself, destroys Trick with a steel chair, goes on to NXT the week after, sits down in the chair and says, all of you asking if I attacked Trick, if I did this, if I did that, waits for a cool second and pulls the Triple H. You're damn right I did, and I do it again. Let them cook. Peeps.
Yes.
Honestly, I like where this is going. If this means that Trick ends up going ahead and taking the title off Ilya by Roadblock, and then we get Trick versus Melo at Stand and Deliver, which I think that is what it's going to be.
Yes.
And peeps, so be it.
Yes.
I'm in for it. I will be seated. What are your thoughts, man?
This would be the headline if it was on a newspaper. Melo uses magic to turn Trick into Jannetty. And that's basically what he did. That is all he did. And I tell you right now, it was perfectly set up. We knew it was happening. We didn't know how it was going to happen. We didn't even know when it was going to happen. But we kind of figured after the tag team having Trick Williams wrestle twice at Vengeance Day, first in the tag team in the Dusty Cup final, and then knowing he was going to main event against Ilya Dragunov for the NXT Championship, You figured it was going to happen then and there. Just didn't know how.
I was
And
really
it finally happened.
winning, you know, because if anything, I was like, okay, you can't go 0 for 2. Like, yeah, you lose the Dusty Classic, but I mean, maybe he does end up going ahead and winning the title. And then, you know, they kind of pull like an Evolution type of shtick where, you know, Melo just turns on him there once he wins the title. That's what I was thinking. But having him lose, then lose his best friend on top of that.
Yes.
We saw it coming with Melo because it's like the fact that he wore the same attire that Sean wore back in the 90s when he turned on Jannetty. You kind of figured that something was going to happen. And Vengeance Day being that kind of NXT pay-per-view where everybody turns on everybody now, you kind of had to see, okay, look, the timetable fits. If anything, it's going to have to happen tonight.
Yes.
But now, peeps, look, the build for it has to be something good. And I think that they've been cooking enough to know that the build will be good.
Yes.
But as I said, the timing has to fit within the perspective of, look, they tried to tease Trick coming out on Wednesday. And of course, he didn't come out. Next time it happens, I'm telling you, it has to be. Let it be like this. Let Melo have a couple matches on NXT. And after every match, kind of tease Trick coming out, right? And each time Trick doesn't come out, Melo continues to smile and continues to say, I put him out of business. I'm doing this. I'm going to get back to my title, whatever the case may be. Fast forward to World Block. He beats Ilya, holds the title up, and he pulls the same thing again. And then the music starts, and he's like, okay, I'm just going to tease y'all again. Bam! Trick comes out and starts whooping. Listen. Trick comes out and starts whooping that Trick. Okay? Easy said enough. Go ahead. Start it off like that, and then fire up the rocket ship. Let's take it straight soon, you know? And
the best part about this is to keep Trick off of TV as long as you can until you can build that up. And that gives more of the cockiness to develop for Melo. Melo can go on television. He can run down the fans. He can run down Trick. He can run down anything he wants and pull pieces of their friendship apart on camera while then boosting the feud up. And that builds more intrigue for when the fans finally do see Trick Williams, because he is probably right now the most over wrestler in NXT, bar none.
If not the main roster as well, because we noticed how SmackDown was, I think the SmackDown right before the Rumble, Trick just came out and you had the whole arena in Miami yelling, whoop that Trick?
Yes.
And to think people said nobody watches NXT. Peeps, I mean, for God's sakes.
No, I think the main person that said no one watches NXT is a person that was at one point the head of WWE. But I digress.
Second one of the day?
Yes.
Figured. But, guys, moving from that, we go back to the world of AEW. Sting and Darby Allin are the AEW World Tag Team Champions. Peeps, another thing that we figured was going to happen.
Yes.
Now the question is, does Sting retire a champion? Or does he go out on his back? Because they could go either two ways. For me, it has to be he loses the title to the Bucks.
Yes.
You can't ruin the Bucks of today, okay? You can't ruin a Matthew and Nicholas Jackson. What studs those guys are. I love them. They are great. Peeps,
they have turned into real pricks. Well, I can't say turned into, because I think a lot of people actually thought this is who they are.
I mean, peeps, they were always pricks. Okay, we referred to them back then as the Cucamonga boys of PWG. Yes. They always had the cockiness and the arrogance to them.
Yes.
But I mean, now, peeps, it's like they're turning it. They're really in their Vince McMahon arc. This is perfect. Like, they're really trying to go ahead and take after the snobby Bosch heel antics.
Yes.
And they're making it happen. And I love it. The fact that they're finally going into it instead of acting as if still a little wrestling heel. No. They know you as an EVP, and they know that you've done some stupid things. Act like you've done some stupid things, and you do it again. And the fact that they're snobby, they're arrogant, they're cocky, they're in your face. I mean, peeps. Everything about the Bucks now, let's put it this way. You put the Bucks of now against the Bucks that came into AEW in 2019, You put them both side by side. I got these Bucks going ahead and taking down the other one. That's easy said, because it's just like, peeps, you can't overshadow the work that they're doing currently. And the thing to have them go ahead and face Darby and Sting, which is Sting's retirement match, into their first match as these type of heels, you have to promote it. You want to make them the most hated? Let them go ahead and defeat Sting the most worst way possible. Let it be through cheating. Let it be through some type of crazy way where the fans are literally booing them out of the building. I want Bash at the Beach type levels of boos. I want y'all throwing beers, paper, whatever you could get your hand, turn it into the WWF House Show Riot of 99, 97, I think. I don't know. I don't care. Make them hated. Because I kid you not, the next week on Dynamite, everybody's going to love what the Bucks have to say. But when it comes to Sting, listen, peeps, 40 years in the business.
Yeah.
A blessing within itself. And to think that you're going to be going into your last match in North Carolina as a champion, what better way to go ahead and close out your career?
Oh, yes. And really, really lean into it. We know Flair is going to be there. So I'm pretty sure he's going to probably potentially factor in somewhere in this, whether it's just him accompanying them to the ring or if he's going to do commentary with them or whatever is the case. They have really leaned in. So much so that the Bucks have renamed the BTE trigger into the EVP trigger, which is absolutely hilarious. So I'm thinking right now that what they're doing is, we noticed that they grew the mustaches to look like Vince. So we know that aspect of it. Mm-hmm. They're wearing all white to kind of accentuate what they did on Wednesday as they beat Sting and Darby Allin down so that they busted Sting open and Sting's blood was all over their jackets so that you can see it. Mm-hmm. And then on yesterday, if anybody was there after watching SmackDown that they stuck around to look at Rampage, they cut a promo after they wrestled very tough opponents, two jobbers. Really be honest, they kind of further accentuate that attitude that they are over the top heels. They wanted to show you how much of how bad they are, and everybody's got to address us by our names, and we're going to do what we need to do to get those belts back. And that's something that builds in. Now, going after Sting, most wrestlers that are going to either retire, leave a territory, etc., usually, unless it's a special situation, most of them, when they retire, they lose their last match, i.e. what we saw potentially from John Cena when he lost to Solo Sikoa. We saw that happen. We know that in certain instances, the big star that is going to retire usually would like to have their last match be a loss. Kind of like that old gunslinger cowboy that, this is the last rodeo. I got to saddle up and ride off into the sunset. Doesn't have to win. And we know that Sting and Darby Allin are going to potentially put over the Bucks so that they can now have the belts. And then that would put them over for whoever the next guys are that are going to take the belts from the Bucks. So that part works. So I'm of the mindset that we're on that road now to Revolution being a major pay-per-view. And that's one of the things that AEW is starting to do. First and foremost, Sting's kids, my goodness, they look like bodybuilders. They look like bouncers.
The fact that Sting's oldest kid looks just like him.
Yes.
Peeps, for God's sakes, I sat there and I think it was at the Kia Forum when he walked out of the ring and went straight for the barricade, and I see him hugging his son, and I'm like, wait, that's Steve Boyden Jr.?
Yes.
Wait, so is this Sting hugging Sting? Why does that look like? Wait, so did we time travel real quick? Because peeps, for God's sake, why can't they just take up the mantle after their father? I mean, just put on the face paint. Nobody will suspect a thing.
Yes, and beat on his chest and scream. That would be something.
I mean, for God's sakes, yeah.
Or have one of his sons dress up as Crew Cut Sting, and the other one show up as Crow Sting.
Imagine. Now
That
we
would
just
be
have
funny.
one. Now we have one at the barricade, and we just have one always coming out every other couple of minutes.
Exactly.
Mercy.
There you go.
Oh man, have mercy. Okay, but guys, yes, we will be continuing to navigate the situation and monitor it. Of course, we know that Revolution is next month. So, with all that being said, the build-up starts, and it started this past week. Let's continue it on, and let's see where it goes.
Yes.
But with that being said, move to the last piece of news today for Wrestling Crash Course, and it is TNA. TNA has fired
Yes.
Scott D'Amore. I read this past week, and I said to myself, what type of work are we in? Because it doesn't make any sense. Peeps, from what I'm hearing, all the man did was just ask for an influx in funds to continue to promote TNA and make TNA a staple in the wrestling business, right? That's what we're hearing.
Yes.
This is seemingly the same individual who took a burnt out, done with, out of the eye of the beholder TNA that was forcefully churned by Hulk Hogan into Impact Wrestling. Then was taken by a couple of shareholders that once took the name and made it what? Global Force Wrestling?
Yes.
Was in the trash at that point. Not watched by many unless you were on what type of, like, what were
It
they
was
on?
it was on Destination America at one point. I don't even know if the channel still exists, but that should tell you something.
Exactly. So this same Scott D'Amore that took the clump of clay that TNA was back in the 2010s, began to mold it, build it back up a little bit, and began taking more clay, adding to it, continuing to mold and mold and mold up until last year when we literally saw that lump of clay that he was given was beautiful pottery, which was then renamed Total Nonstop Action Wrestling. Name given back to it this January. We had great wrestling, amazing wrestlers, a renaissance, so to say, because you had fans coming back saying, oh, damn, TNA's back. You had fans even saying the fact that TNA can kind of garner a little bit more relevance than AEW at this current point in time is insane. Because, of course, November, December-ish, you kind of try to figure that AEW wasn't putting out as much as what they were putting out. But with TNA, you got something fresh. Who was in charge of that, peeps? Oh, yeah, that's right. Scott D'Amore. But now, just because I guess he asked for funds to continue to boosting up TNA, you guys just didn't like that. And instead of keeping him around, you let him go.
Because correct. It's ridiculous.
I digress. Peeps, you take care of this.
There
I'm
you
not
go.
even gonna no, because it just doesn't make any sense. Why?
It goes to show you when other executives get in charge of the product, because you got to remember, TNA went through new ownership. They went through a phase where they were trying to get themselves together financially. Remember the pandemic. Of all the wrestling companies out there that took a real hit, Impact was really hit hard. They lost a lot of their audience. They didn't travel. As a matter of fact, they stayed in Canada for quite a number of months during the pandemic because it was cheaper to produce the show, and it was one of the only ways that they can get some kind of audience. And then there was a point where they were wrestling in front of the cameramen, and that was it. So that was a problem. And Scott D'Amore did as great of a job as he could with that regime, transitioning from Impact Wrestling. And then as they started to get out of the pandemic and start to move forward, they started to see, wow, our wrestling is kind of resonating with the fans. They haven't really left. Now, they didn't grow the product, but the product didn't shrink as much. So then they were able to stop the bleeding, so to speak. And then as they got a little bit better and they started to produce better quality shows, they started to realize, okay, we're coming out of the pandemic with fans wanting to come in and watch the product. We have wrestlers who want to be part of the show. And Scott D'Amore was the guy that came out there and said, you know what? This is what we're going to do. We're going to just showcase the in-ring talent and show them that we can produce a product that everybody wants to see. And it may have been rough on around the edges and a little bit of growing pains as they moved forward. Scott D'Amore championed this company as long as he could. And it worked. Getting the rebranding back to TNA Wrestling, bringing in a lot of stars that were already there. And the cardinal sin was he wanted to spend more money and get more money to get better talent in there. One of the things that I found out that was brought up on Wrestling Inc.'s website is that one of those wrestlers that he wanted to sign was Braun Strowman. Now, if you remember, Braun Strowman had been cut from WWE for various reasons and was floating around looking for a place to go. Eventually, the thought process was it was going to be Braun Strowman and EC3 were going to start up this kind of pseudo wrestling company, touring company, what they were going to do. And I think it was called something about your brand or something along those lines of
I know exactly
doing something.
Yeah. Name is floating. The name is floating.
Yeah. We'll get to it in a second. But at some point, that was where he was going with that. Scott D'Amore wanted to bring in Braun Strowman and actually add him to the roster. And the company said, no, we're not spending that kind of money. And was forced to do what they had to do with the talent that they had. And over the last few years, over the last even few months, with the Mike Baileys of the world and the Josh Alexanders of the world, they've even been able to cross brand themselves in certain instances with other promotions. They were able to have some New Japan stars come in, CMLL stars come in, AEW stars come in. We remember the cross-promotional period that they had with AEW when Kenny Omega was there. And then Christian Cage was there to win their world title, go back and forth when Kenny Omega was the belt collector and winning all of the championships that were there. So they did a great job to keep themselves above water, keep that attention there. And then Scott D'Amore is the guy that's gone, and it doesn't make any sense because now there's back to this uncertainty where we have no idea what they're going to do going forward. We just hope that the front office and the people that are there in the business side of it know what they're doing, and then they can allow the talent and the wrestling to be king and not have to deal with any more upheaval and turmoil that can change and take that momentum and change it just like that.
Exactly. So, Taekwon, once I thought of the name, because peeps, the name came to me, control your narrative. Taekwon goes ahead and texts me. He texts it too, and he sends me a thread after. Dang it, I read it, okay? Jeez, cut me some slack. Guys, look, you caught me. Yo, you guys have been going off with the comments. We have about like 30 of these out here. Like, wow, okay. You know what? Since we're done with Wrestling Crash Course, let's just try to go ahead and get to all of them, peeps. Why not?
Okay.
First and foremost, Taekwon. Peeps looks like Billy Ocean, unsuccessful younger brother Willie Lake. I didn't know they were gonna go. Damn. Okay. He says, "I'm not in a book." Yes, I am in a book. You look under. Peeps, isn't the word phenomenal in the book?
Yes, it is.
Is it in a dictionary? Just
yes.
Okay.
Yes,
okay then. So I'm in a dictionary. Leave me alone. Anywho, he says when Peeps passes away from old age, then you're gonna eventually host this show solo. No, the ghost of Peeps stage will live forever. I'll have Casper, the friendly Peeps, to host this show with.
There you go. There you go.
Peeps lives forever. We have a Negan Smith in the chat. He says, "Hey, welcome the same. You may
Welcome.
be new. We appreciate you. We love having you around. We hope that you continue to stick around for many of the other episodes and even for the show itself." So look, stay tuned. We have a lot going on. The Phenom says this. He says, "Tony can't keep a secret." Yeah, he can't. He can't. He also says Taz is the biggest piece of Red Hook trailer park trash fucking God's green earth. I knew this was coming. I just knew it was coming. You see, when I called it, peeps, I knew it was coming.
Yes.
Hot Rod says this. Tony Khan is the type of guy that will sit next to you on an empty bus.
Wow.
Exactly.
That's right, guys. Are you going to my stop, guys? I'm getting off next, guys.
Guys, I'm just taking bus 42. Just drop me off of the Atlantic. Atlantic Ave. Flatbush. Why not? Thanks, guys.
Wow.
Gives the 240 to the bus driver. It's just like,
thank you for driving me safely.
And then tries to buy the bus. They tries to buy the bus. There you go.
Forget it.
You know what, guys? I'm the new owner of MTA Transit. It's not Cuomo. It's me.
Hey, at this point, that's an improvement. All right. That's an improvement.
Oh, gosh.
Anyway.
Anyway.
Yes.
Also says Mello and Trick are doing good business. Are going to do good business.
Yes, they are.
Morton's Law, Christopher Morton, Mr. 401, he says counterfeit bucks. They still suck. Somebody still feels a certain type of way about him. Saquon, I can't put this one out, man. I'm sorry. No, that's funny. Don't get me wrong. Dark and humorous. I don't think I can put that one on, though. Peeps, I'll show you after the show. But
gotcha. Okay, I got you.
Dang, Christopher Morton, he says, Nate remembers the Wild Wild West. He was there.
Yes.
That's long.
Let's saddle them up, Pilgrim.
Taekwon says TNA got a strict $20 budget.
Ouch. There was a promotion that was around called $5 Wrestling online. It was either $5 Wrestling or $5 Raw. I think it was called. And one of the wrestlers that was there, his name was Freight Train. You could go on YouTube and see it. It's old. It's like maybe 10 years old at least, something like that. But yeah, it was a minor, gymnasium kind of thing. But it was called $5 Wrestling, and Go figure.
Go figure.
Yes.
Morton's Law. He also said this. He's like, the owners only want to exist, not make a difference, and he tried to buy it. Wait, so Scott D'Amore tried to buy TNA with a financial backing system. Oh, damn, and they still
Yeah. Yeah. Go ahead. Say it.
I digress.
There you go. That's 4 on the day. There we go.
And this is before the main topic of today's show.
Yes.
You know what? Okay, let's try to save ourselves here. But guys, look.
Yes.
That marks the end of the first half of Saturday afternoon's main event and Wrestling Crash Course. Look, guys, when we come back from our break, we will go ahead and go straight into our questions. And then from our questions, we'll go into the last topic of today's show, which is We Want Cody has prevailed. Stay tuned. Do not go anywhere, guys, because the second half of Saturday afternoon's main event is coming up next. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, welcome back to the second half of Saturday afternoon's main event. Look, now this is a part of our questions. And you know for a fact that we always love the questions. Me and the peeps and age, we adore these things. So look, guys, if you ever want to go ahead and send in a question, all you got to do is one thing and one thing only. DM us on our Instagram page at Saturday afternoons _main event. And in the words of the great JBL, I guarantee it will be on the next episode of the show.
Yes.
So let's go ahead and get it fired up, right, peeps?
Let's go. Let's do it.
First comment comes from Long Island Isaiah. He says, 2024 is crazy. Rock is a heel and Roman getting sunned.
Yeah.
I mean, he's not wrong. Right?
Yeah, he's not wrong about that one.
2024, peeps. What have we not seen?
Wow. You know, you got a point there. I mean, the only thing we haven't seen is Seth Rollins get castrated on live TV. Oh, wait a minute.
Oh, wait.
Never mind. Never mind.
Exactly.
Yes.
We have seen that.
Yes.
Not enough, but we have seen it. You know, it sucks.
And it's only February. I mean, we still got 10 months left in the year.
Everything that has happened last year, it's much more bigger than what has happened. Like, it's
yes.
What has already happened in the past month.
Yes.
41 days, peeps, of the new year. And we're literally sitting here. Let's see. Vince is pretty much kicked out of the company. Vince goes ahead and does some nasty things alongside Laurinaitis and presumably Brock Lesnar. The Rock is now a shareholder and on the board. WWE signed with Netflix for $5 billion starting next year. What else have we seen? Okay, Mercedes Mone is now going at All Elite Wrestling. Okada left New Japan after 17 plus years in the company. Even after throwing out of their president and giving the position to Hiroshi Tanahashi. Crazy enough. Okay.
Yes.
Fast forward that, peeps. Bailey has won the Rumble. Cody 2-time.
Yes.
Punk tore his. It's just crazy to say.
Yeah.
CM Punk, after coming back, tears his tricep and is no longer going to be in the main event of WrestleMania.
Yes.
Seth is without a WrestleMania opponent as of now, up until after Elimination Chamber, when we do find out who's facing him.
Yes.
But he also tore his MCL and was presumably maybe not going to fight at Mania. Okay. Now, there are thoughts about Jade Cargill and Bianca Belair happening at Mania as well. Jay, Jimmy, as we said, The Rock trying to implement himself into a match against Roman Reigns instead of giving Cody a spot. Wrestling Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, call it what you name it. Social media was in a frenzy to the point that they turned into Daniel Bryan 2014.
Yes.
Where they literally took over the wrestling world with the hashtag We Want Cody.
Yes. The IWC was pissed. Yes.
Fast forward to Cody getting his spot back. And then on top of that, within a press conference, they literally blurred the line between reality and kayfabe.
Yes.
And made this press conference UFC-like.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. When we get to that topic, we're gonna dissect the heck out of that, because there's just so many facets of that whole entire thing.
Exactly. So there's just so much. Oh, you see? And then last but not least, I only named 15 things. How about the 16th one? Rossi Ogawa, executive producer of Stardom.
Yes.
Gets released out of his contract.
Yeah.
They said he was poaching wrestlers at Stardom. What's going on?
I tell you, it's some sort of solar eclipse that's messing with brain waves in the wrestling world of some sort. You know, between the TV deals, between all of the things that's happening, the way wrestling is being watched and consumed, all of the things that we just talked about here, and then the stuff that we don't know about that may happen between now and December 31st. Whew. Yeah, this is going to be a crazy year.
It's going to be one of those years. Yup, it definitely is. So, Long Island Isaiah, thank you for that. We just recapped literally everything that happened in the past 41 days just with you. So good on that one. We appreciate you. Next one comes from Master Sean 007. He says, greetings, gentlemen. It seems like since the year started, we were talking about behind-the-scenes stuff instead of actual wrestling. Scott D'Amore, who rescued and resurrected TNA, gets fired. Why? Because management doesn't want to spend money. Well, that's why they lost talent in the first place. TNA wasn't supposed to last part its first year, and here we are, 20 plus years later, and now they should be worried about self-sabotage. I believe that Scott D'Amore will land on his feet. Which company do you guys think he will end up in?
If AEW is smart, they will snag him yesterday. If they're smart, he could go to the WWE and they could use him the same way that Jeremy Borash was used after he left TNA, which would definitely work. But if the thought process is Scott D'Amore is looking for a place to call home, to use a lot of his influence to help out with a company, I could definitely see him in AEW. If AEW is trying to clean things up and try to make sure that the things that we're doing that aren't working needs to work, then put Scott D'Amore there. And the reason why I bring that up,
Peeps, if anything, here's what I was thinking. Because AEW would need Scott D'Amore more than WWE would need Scott D'Amore. I'm just keeping it above.
Without question.
I would love to see him in WWE, but AEW, I'd love to see him there because then AEW gets to prosper the way that it has to. Why? Tony can then reavert himself back to just focusing on All Elite Wrestling and leave Scott in charge of Ring of Honor.
Okay.
What do you get there, peeps? You get now some type of balance where now the focus on AEW can have all of Tony's focus. Instead of him having to sit here, then focus on Dark Elevation, then focus on this. I even heard they're trying to give John Morrison and Taya Valkyrie a reality rom-com TV show on YouTube. Who in the heck cares? I don't want to see that. We want to see wrestling. That's what AEW is known for. Look at, and it's not talked about as much, but peeps, we saw Dynamite. Dynamite was an amazing show.
Yes.
We saw Collision last week. That was a great show.
Yes.
But if you're going to sit there and tell me that you're trying to put focus on so many different other things, you're never going to have your full focus on one thing. And how is that thing going to get great? Leave Scott in charge of Ring of Honor. You go ahead and you do your thing with AEW, and then we begin working. As I said, if WWE were to snag him up, look, another creative standpoint / producer, whether it be to NXT or whether it be on the main roster, it's good for business. Why? Because you have other people that are in the creative business and executive producers of the show who did work for TNA at one point. So they would value Scott's ideas and things such as like, look, Aldis would do it. Rude would love it. I know for a fact D'Amore would, he would love it there. But for me, I just think you want wrestling in a frenzy. You want wrestling to be great. Put him with AEW. Best thing that can work possibly for both sides. That's just how I think. But if that's what you were thinking, peeps, look, I guess we're on the same page. But,
And I think that you would leverage it in one way that if that's the case, even if it's not just with Ring of Honor, you can still use his influence on both shows where he can now be free to help you book. So it's not just a unilateral booking where it's just this one focus and maybe a handful of other people that are there helping with that. You can then get fresh ideas, but also it may help with some of the talent that's not being used because Scott D'Amore can do what he needs to do to help develop some of the other guys that aren't on camera as much. So then you can go ahead and say, well, let's book this guy who hasn't been on in a while. Let's deal with this guy. Let's move with this guy. Because I remember I read a story earlier in the week that when you're looking at Ricky Starks feels like he's alone in the company as far as that goes. Allegedly, he doesn't really hang with a lot of the other wrestlers. He misses a lot of the people that were there. His best friends being Cody Rhodes and Jade Cargill, they're gone. He literally feels like there are a lot of people that helped him out, including CM Punk, because he had a great relationship with CM Punk when he was there. And he kind of feels like he's floating around. And if we think that Ricky Starks is going to leave AEW at some point, part of that could be the disconnect between booking and allowing him and his talents to be shown on a bigger scale and a better scale and being used at the top of his talents, and maybe that's not what's happening. So bringing in Scott D'Amore would actually do something where you could showcase him or somebody like him, and then say, you know what, this is good. The tag team of Ricky Starks and Big Bill was a pretty good tag team, but let's really be honest, they weren't seen as much as they probably should have, even though they had those belts for over 100 days. So that would definitely help them out.
And of course, definitely. So from there, I think we answered Master Sean 007's thought process, you know, like especially with his question. Let us know what you think, what you guys think. Sound off in the comments about it. From there, we move to Tombstone City Adam. He says, does Rock stay a heel if leading to a main event match against Roman at next year's WrestleMania? Peeps, do you think we should save this question for the topic?
I think we should. Yeah, we'll save this question for the last topic, because I think that this could play into that.
Definitely will. Definitely will. Well, that means Tombstone City Adam will answer your question within the next topic, because guess what? It's about to start right now. So, guys, look, once more, we appreciate the questions. We thank you guys for the questions. You guys know that we love them. You want to keep sending them in? We want to keep answering them. So you know how you got to do it. DM us on Instagram, Saturday afternoons _ main event. Send in a question. It will be featured on the next episode of the show. So, peeps, how are you, bud?
I'm good.
You're good. You're good.
Yes,
You're good.
I'm good.
A lot has happened, you know, in the past.
I think I'm doing a lot better than Seth Rollins is.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know how I'd be if I got completely shat on during a press conference, a SmackDown, and during the whole week. They literally called my title the B title. You know how much that sucks. But you know, peeps, that's the thing. You remember how the whole brawl out thing happened, and they completely overshadowed like MJF making some type of like, you know, like return as the devil. So peeps, we know that happened, right? So,
exactly.
Seth, who's still without an opponent, gets crapped on during a scrum. And then on top of that, he gets overshadowed again because nobody is talking about Seth no more. It's like Seth in WrestleMania is an afterthought, like it's 2016 again.
Yes.
What everybody's talking about is the slap heard around the world. Peeps, of course, for you guys that were already tuning in to the show prior to the beginning, you would know that I went ahead and I put out a clip of the WrestleMania 40 kickoff press conference that took place in Las Vegas at the T-Mobile Arena this past Thursday during Super Bowl weekend, which is, of course, tomorrow. And we got rumblings. Of course, let's kind of put this into a timeline perspective. Seth Rollins is the first to come out. Gets his, you know, woes into effect. About 3,000 to 5,000 fans into the arena, chanting along with him, saying that he's a, you know, what, a visionary, a revolutionary, the world heavyweight champion. He is Seth freaking Rollins. All of that, the good stuff, yeah, whatever. Then says he wants to get this show on the road. So what does he do? He says, guys, allow me to bring out the winner of the 2024 Royal Rumble, Cody Rhodes. Instead of getting Cody Rhodes, he gets Roman Reigns. At the moment that we saw Roman Reigns, we all knew business was about to pick up. Because ain't no way you're not going to go ahead and sit there and tell me you're not going to address what you said about his title on Friday. So,
yes,
you got to get to this, right? Once he comes out, does the whole thing, the whole shtick, puts the title up in the air, puts it right back down, music stops, Las Vegas, acknowledge me. Steph then says, oh, he finally shows up to work. Roman, yeah, you finally showed up with your wife's shoes.
Zing! Yes.
And then it's like, Seth kind of acknowledges, he turns into Cody when Cody had to give his spot up to The Rock. This man turned into full cuck. Hey, what's up, big brother? Why the hell are you acknowledging him as big brother? Now
Yes.
you're just acknowledging that you're just little. You ain't crap. Why are you doing this to yourself, Seth? Slap him in the
Yes.
face or something. Ensue a fight. Nothing. So then Roman says, you know what? Let's talk about Cody Rhodes. You know, his time is up. He didn't go ahead and choose nobody. So now the decision is up to me. I choose The Rock. Peeps, for what it's worth, my heart broke into two because I was like, geez, they're really working me now. I can't really, like, damn it. Okay,
Yes.
we know it's coming, but like, damn it. Like, why you gotta play with my emotions like this? Like, this don't work. Rock comes out, and the minute the man comes out, I'm just like, oh. Fully bald head, jacked as always, but peeps, corporate slacks,
Yes.
corporate shoes, tank top, and a gold chain.
Yes.
Walks around, not much smiles on his face. Instead, it's just the eyebrow raising. Okay, so peeps, what do you think was my first initial thought?
Hollywood Rock has returned to claim that
Yes.
main event. Yes.
So, in my head, I'm sitting there like, oh gosh, we got to heel Rock. This is Hollywood
Yes.
Rock. What would have made it better is if they really played the Hollywood Rock theme. Then I would have sat there and I would have been like, okay, you know what? Screw Cody. Give the shot to The Rock. I actually want to see this now. Like, no, peeps, no shot. I was just like really sitting there like, if you're giving me this version of The Rock, because they kind of played a key role into ensuing it on the Pat McAfee show when he was saying what he was saying in a comedic type of tone, with all the Cody crybabies sitting there talking about some, you got one. With his son, hey, Dad, you want to go outside and play catch? No, Cody has to finish the story. His wife comes in. Hey, sweetheart, you want to have... No, Cody has to finish the story. He has to finish the... shut up. Peeps, him saying that, I really sat there like,
Yes.
yeah, this is happening. Like, oh, we got a heel Rock. This is
Yeah,
great.
he basically gave you a preview of what was yet to come.
Exactly.
Yes.
So he comes out. The boos start to ensue. You get Rocky sucks. Then you get the we want Rocky. No, we don't.
Yes.
I'm sitting there like, what is going on?
Now,
Like,
this is for a press conference. This isn't
a
for
press conference.
this is not for a match. They're not wrestling. You have dueling chants at a press conference for a kickoff for a premium live event / pay-per-view. That is still 2 months away.
Peeps, if I tell you something, would you believe me? That hour of the press conference was more entertaining than all 2.5 hours of WWE Great Balls of Fire.
Well, that's not saying a whole lot.
That's saying a whole lot.
But I tell you also something else that I found out, that was the single most watched non-wrestling, like a press conference in the history of live streaming.
Yup.
I forgot what the numbers were, but it was some insane number of how many people watched that live.
I'll pull it up for you.
Yes.
100 million social views in the first 12 hours.
Yes.
Over 4.7 million live viewers across all social platforms. And the most viewed non-in-ring event live stream of all time.
Yes. As a matter of fact, the YouTube video, as it went up, I believe it's its first 11 hours, it did 2.5 million views.
Peeps,
insane.
Peeps, an hour after, it was literally at 1 million.
Yes.
How? I don't know. Peeps, the first 10 minutes, 400,000 people were seated wanting to view this thing. This is how big this whole thing was.
Yes.
And I couldn't comprehend it. But of course, we know why. Dwayne The Rock Johnson. You know, it's...
Yes.
Come on now.
It's because of Seth Rollins. We know why they would.
Oh, come on now.
We know.
No. People wanted to hear what Janelle Grant had to say. Guys, I digress.
Oh boy.
So sorry. Okay, yeah, I'm sorry. I digress. Yeah. Damn. Okay. Anywho, continuing on with this, right?
Yes.
The Rock goes ahead, starts trying to play with the fans. Oh, do you guys think Roman Reigns is going to beat The Rock at WrestleMania? And it's kind of like crickets where the fans are now just booing. Then he's like, okay, well, do you think The Rock is going to beat Roman Reigns at WrestleMania? And now everybody's just like, boo. And then you're sitting there like, okay, where's Cody going to come into all of this? Because now it's just like, what's going on? And then he's like, you know what? You guys just don't understand. Because where's my manners? Allow me to introduce all of you guys to the Cody Crybabies. Then he's like, you know what? Here's the reason why this match has to happen. Then he puts the Samoan bloodline family tree on the Titantron. And keeps my heart broke again. Because I'm like, okay, yeah, we're definitely getting this match now. They made a whole family tree Titantron for this. Okay, this is happening.
Yes.
Peeps. The fact, and if you looked at it, peeps, everybody was on it.
Including Jacob Fatu. Jacob Fatu, who isn't even in the company, was on that tree.
They put Jacob Fatu on. I was just like, y'all really play with us now. Because what?
Yes.
Danny Garcia, The Rock's ex-wife.
Yes.
Not his ex-wife.
So not only are they putting bloodline members by blood, they're putting people that are bloodline by injection. So there you go. Yes.
Naomi's on there. Nia Jax's on there. I mean, have mercy.
Yes.
The one thing that I noticed, peeps, was that Rock has the name High Chief on his side.
Yes.
Of course, we know High Chief was only indebted by his grandfather, High Chief Peter Maivia. But I read in Samoan culture that you get that given to you by the Samoan king. The Rock had that name given to him. Roman is living in some type of broader range of being the tribal chief. But The Rock, known to all, is High Chief. So, peeps, what head of the table are they fighting for? If Rock is actually like, if Rock is really the chief, what are they fighting for? That's what I'm trying to like.
I guess that's where we'll find out as this thing progresses. But now, it's so intriguing how they did this.
Weird. So now I'm sitting there like, okay, cool, whatever. And then Rock is like, this is why this bloodline is the most royal family in professional wrestling. This man did not say sports entertainment. This man said professional wrestling.
Yes.
They are really blurring the lines right now, peeps.
And they went through a lot. As far as that statement goes, that is like taking a leak on all of the wrestling families that exist, including ones that are already currently in the company.
Mm-hmm.
Those that are alive and those that are not.
Exactly.
That is why that resonated so well at that press conference.
So the Harts, the Rhodes, the McMahons, the peeps.
Yes.
This man took a dump on each one. He's like, this is the most
the Von Erichs.
The
Von Erichs.
Have mercy. This man, oh God. That's what I said. Okay, this is really happening, but he's heel. Because ain't no way. Because the fact that, as you stated on a phone call, and some of us may notice, The Rock's people's elbow is his variation of Dusty's bionic elbow, but just with his spin on it.
Yes.
That's how much he reveres Dusty. So how you gonna crap on Dusty like this by saying you have the most royal family? And then, of course, for some fans, they might not think of every other wrestling family. But now, in the modern era, peeps, you have somebody's theme song that begins with a wrestling has more than one royal family. What's his name again? Jeez.
Bodie
Omos.
Toads. No, not Bodie Toads. It's I think he's dashing. No. Oh,
Undesirable?
maybe. Oh, Cody Rhodes. That's his name. I knew I would get it at some point.
At some point, right?
At some point, yeah.
So, peeps. Fast forward to all of that.
Yes.
He's like, okay, and this match will be the biggest match in professional wrestling history. And it will be bonded by blood. Goes ahead, takes the handshake with Roman. They shake on it, kind of like a Mega Powers interlude.
Yes.
Does the whole hug. And then, please, guys, pardon my French. Then you have a Cody Rhodes saying, wait, hold on. Comes out and says, this right here is BS. Damn, Cody. I never thought the face of the company actually
cursed. You kiss your wife with that mouth? My goodness.
Like, damn it. You kiss every single white belt and hand it to children with that mouth. You gotta be kidding. So nah. At this point, I'm like, okay, now it's getting good. Cody comes out. Cody's like, look, all respect to the both of you, but Roman, you're out here going ahead and starting off with, oh, you choose The Rock when it's not your distinction to make. I won the Royal Rumble, so I get to choose what happens at WrestleMania. Then does what every single person thinks he's going to do. In the main event of WrestleMania, I choose you, Roman Reigns. Roman kind of looks dumbfounded, looks back at the wise man, looks at The Rock. The Rock kind of just standing there menacingly while the steroids just run through his veins.
Oh, boy.
I'm sorry, I had to. But then Roman goes ahead and takes a dab at him saying, oh, you're stupid. You must be dumb. Your time passed. You didn't want to make a choice, so I did. And if anything, you were just a chapter in my book. Nobody cares about you finishing the story anymore. Guess what? You're irrelevant. Cody was about to say something, then he just fires the trigger. He says, just like your dad. I said, oh my God.
Oh boy.
Oh my God. Oh my God. Now y'all really throwing shots at this man. You know what happened last time when like Paul said something about Cody's dad to Cody in his face?
Yes.
We did not get a good Cody Rhodes. So I'm sitting there like, oh gosh, like, what is Cody about to say? Because now Cody kind of just got taken aback there when he just mentioned Dusty. What's going to happen? Cody does the real Cody Rhodes AEW smashing the throne move. Cody takes the mic, says this. He's like, look, you're out here talking about family. You're out here talking about what you would consider being a royal family. Both of you two are going to WrestleMania to fight each other for what? The head of the table? That's what we're fighting for? When none of you two have been doing the cooking for 2 years?
Mm-hmm.
Let this man cook.
Yes.
This man then goes on to say, if your grandfather were here, and if The Rock's grandfather were here, they would be ashamed of you. You know what? You just called out the high chief like that on his gravestone, though. Like, you can't be for real.
I'm telling.
You just played the smack if down on The Rock and Roman Reigns' head top. Ain't no way you just did that. No way.
Yes.
Then Roman, for the first time, exhibits sadness and profound, dumbfounded look. He's just like, did he just say that? He really
pulled a Booker T. Oh, no, he did not just say that. Sucker!
I was waiting for Roman Reigns to hit the bookend, but he didn't do it.
Yes.
So, Roman kind of takes a dab back, and The Rock comes in, and he's like, when you talk about his family, you're talking about my family. Okay, Vin Diesel, we understand. It's okay. You've been in too many Fast and Furious movies to go ahead and start reading Vin Diesel's lines. We get it. Talking about family. Didn't you just disrespect this man's family? But okay, I digress. Fifth one of the day.
Go. 6.
Sixth.
That's
Look
number
at that.
6.
Then he says, when you're talking about his ancestors, you're talking about my ancestors. Yes, we understand you're in the same bloodline. Christ, leave it alone. Then he says, when you're talking about his blood, you're talking about my blood. So now we have a problem. And everybody's just like, what are you going to do now? Slaps the honorary black off of Cody Rhodes' face.
He slapped the scat out of him. Literally. The strife, the chaos, the angst, and the turmoil directly from one side of his face
to
all
another.
the way to the other. There
and
you
at
go.
that point, I'm sitting there like, what in the heck? What just happened? And then you got limp leg Cody Rhodes and Seth Rollins out here walking on one leg.
Yes.
Trying to be out here fighting The Rock and Roman Reigns backing Cody. When were we ever going to see something like that? What? So now we get that. They start cursing at each other, whatever the case may be. Then you got Seth who says, just because you're on the board doesn't mean you get to do whatever you want. What's going on here? And I was just like, oh God, they really embodied the TKO UFC experience with this press conference. This is gold. But peeps, fast forward, right? Fast forward. After that whole scuffle, everybody kind of leaves the stage.
Yes.
You go to the back, and Triple H is there kind of like, talking to Jackie Redmond. And here we are having to listen to Triple H kind of give in a little bit of what just happened. And he's like, well, you know what? That's unacceptable. People just went into business for themselves, whatever the case may be. Then here comes The Rock. Notice what I just said. The Rock.
Yes.
Not Roman Reigns. The Rock. And who's behind The Rock? Roman Reigns.
Yes.
So who's really the tribal chief here?
Once
more, The Rock goes up to Triple H and says, let him talk about our families again. Let him talk scat about our families again. He's like, that was unacceptable. That was out of line. He's like, no. He was talking scat about our families. Let him do it again. I'd slap the taste out of his mouth.
Yeah, he brought a whole lot of smoke to that conversation.
Man said he'd
all the smoke. Yes,
he said he'd slap the effing taste out of Cody Rhodes' mouth. What the?
Didn't he already do it like 2 minutes prior?
And then once The Rock leaves, then comes Roman Reigns and he's like, hey, you're lucky we here. That's all he says, and he just walks out. And then Triple H is like, yeah, I know you glad you are here too. And he just smirks, and I'm like,
yes.
What the heck? At this point, peeps, I wouldn't even be, if the wrestling gods can just do me one solid.
Okay.
And pull the Batista and give me what I want. And what I want is the real main event of WrestleMania.
Okay.
A coming out of retirement. Heal this man, please. By the power of everything vested in the heavens. Heal Triple H so that he could just have one more match and main event WrestleMania against The Rock. The one true WrestleMania main event we never got. Give me that. I would die happy. I kid you not. That right there would be the moneymaker. Forget a Rock versus Roman. Forget a Cody Rhodes versus Roman. Forget a Brandy Rhodes on a pole type of match. I don't care.
Oh, brother. You want to see those fans start cheering for Roman? Let that happen.
Don't give me a Pharaoh on a forklift match, okay? I don't care about that. Give me what I want in Triple H versus The Rock. I know it's not going to happen, but just the tease itself was just like, we know there was always bad blood here, but now it seems like it's more corporate than anything.
Yes.
So now, peeps, after the show, we then hear that Cody is main eventing WrestleMania. That's happening.
Yes.
That's a given. It's happening. So what does that mean for The Rock? Fast forward to Friday night, just last night. Here comes Triple H. Goes out there and he's like, look, I'm just going to go ahead and settle a few things and just clear up a few things. it seemed to me that Thursday there were some people who didn't know their roles.
Mm-hmm.
Some people were stepping out of line. And as far as I'm concerned, no one out here handles the real answers and has the answers to all, other than one person and one person only. And you're looking at them. So if anyone has a problem about Cody Rhodes being in the main event of WrestleMania to face Roman Reigns, let me just tell you one thing. It doesn't matter what you think.
Mm-hmm.
The shots at The Rock is insane.
Yes.
And the fact that you kind of bring in the fact that he's on the board, peeps, the one thing that I love about all of this, right? We'll get to the other stuff in a bit, but I just have to say this. What I love about this is that this feels like 1984. Mind you, I know a couple of people in the comments are going to be like, you weren't even around. What the heck are you talking about? I'm a historian. I look back at stuff. So, peeps, of course, you were probably 3 when Rock and Wrestling happened. So I know you were around for this and you know what I'm talking about. But look, what I'm trying to get at here is that we had Cyndi Lauper kind of going into the whole thing, the whole shtick. Wendy Richter as well. Remember, war to settle the score. And it kind of seemed like you were kind of blurring lines right there, right? Where finally you were letting one dominant world enter into another dominant world. Mr. T and Hulk Hogan going on to face Mr. Wonderful Paul Orndorff and Roddy Piper. Another thing the world of television, where Mr. T was a part of the A-Team, was golden times of television.
Yes.
You insert that into wrestling, and Hulk Hogan, who was already a prominent face in the North, to team against these two men, who are also prominent faces in the territory that WWE was in, was already big for the company. And once again, it was blurring a line between television and pro wrestling. Now, I think in the world that we live in now, where the reality is wrestling is scripted, they know what they're doing. They're not blurring lines. It's just their own little world where, oh, this is happening, that is happening, whatever the case may be. And the funny thing is that now, the more that Triple H said during the press conference at the Royal Rumble, when he said that they're going to try to take more of a sports-dominated approach towards the WWE and everything that they do, I see that they really meant it due to the fact that the interviews, most of the camera cuts, the intros to the shows where they actually show some of the wrestlers arriving at the arena and things like that. That's all great. But now within the storyline itself, blurring reality and wrestling into two and bringing it all together, now that's something new. Because mind you, Vince McMahon back in the 90s, once he screwed Brett, that was big within itself, where now you're just sitting there like, okay, well, now we know that Vince is really, playing into being a dominant corporate figure while he is actually the chairman, But that was probably the only story that we ever got of it. It was something of that caliber. Now we got this, where you're playing into the factor that The Rock is on the board and he's trying to assert dominance. And Triple H is not letting that slide. And he's letting Cody go ahead and finish his story. Along with the fact that they're also bringing in family matters and talking about other people who are pro wrestlers who are not in the company, forming it into a family tree, speaking upon that, telling us how, oh, yeah, you want to be on the board, you're not going to make those decisions. I'm the one that makes them. All of that, peeps. For me, this can possibly be the greatest story ever told in pro wrestling if they do it right.
And
But
this is
now-
only actually part
Exactly.
of the main overarching story that started 3.5 years ago.
Exactly.
That's the great part of this whole thing.
But
Oh,
peeps,
man.
Now it seems like this story is longer.
Yes.
It seems like this story started since 2015. And I think you know what I'm talking about.
Mhm.
And I think that's the road that they thought that they were going to try to go with telling the story in which, Rock went ahead and raised Roman Reigns' hand at the Royal Rumble in Philadelphia in 2015 when the whole building literally booed the hell out of both of them. Thinking that the Rock raising his hand was going to do something, it didn't. Fast forward, deja vu happens again. You think you're getting The Rock versus Roman Reigns at WrestleMania, the crowd boos you again. Showing you that they don't want it. But peeps, the difference is that we can still get this match. But next year,
Yes.
I wouldn't be mad at it. Remember, The Rock said that he's a long gamer.
Yes.
And tying into this, it seems like they're going to play the long game with this. Because he left with Roman Reigns after the press conference, which is what they're saying.
Mm-hmm.
Peeps, we literally got a heel Rock and a heel Roman Reigns side by side, the new two-man power trip.
Yes.
Who would have thought? That's big within itself. But now what does this mean for Cody? Peeps, I'm going to tell you now, I'm going to keep it a $150. If it doesn't happen, shoot. Don't give Cody Rhodes another title. I don't care anymore. Peeps, it has to be done this year.
Oh, yeah.
Within the next 50 days, WrestleMania 40 is going to happen. Cody Rhodes is finishing the story. Peeps, I don't know if you have chance, if you're going to go ahead and put out probabilities again. Because I remember last year it was 99.5, 99.4.
I gave it a 5% chance that Roman was going to win. And he did. Last year. But that was kind of based on what we saw and what the end game seemingly was, because at that time, Vince was still running the company.
Yeah.
So there was a lot of, well, this is Vince's baby. This is Vince's story. This is Vince's star. What I see now in the way that they've accelerated it, Cody's story would be his story, but the bloodline story is the main story. And it took a couple of detours, but the way that they've refreshed this and that they've taken this and then branched it out, they added filler along the lines to kind of give it life. The Sami Zayn part of the story, and then adding Solo Sikoa to the story, and then splitting up the Usos as part of the story. That was all part of the learning tree, so to speak. And we still have Samoan wrestlers that are in this family tree that you can still add that can make this story, give it legs until next year if they so choose to.
Exactly.
But what I love about this situation is, first of all, the pivot that they did to make sure that everybody realizing that Cody has had this story going. This has been baking in an oven for 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
At some point, that cake is going to burn if you don't pull it out of the oven and let it cool off.
Exactly.
At some point, you have to have the courage of your convictions to end this story and give the fans what they want. And yet at the same time, start to develop for the next aspect of the story. And I think this is the next aspect of the story. And this is kind of what I see happening if it does happen as an idea. So just hear me out. Let's say that this goes on and Roman loses, which I think everybody has been on board with happening for quite some time.
Of course.
Roman loses the belt. If they're really wanting to go with Rock versus Roman, you can do two things in one fell swoop. You have all of the different people that are involved in the bloodline with Sikoa and the Usos, et cetera, et cetera. within this family, trying to find out who's going to win, et cetera, et cetera. Somehow, some way, Cody wins the belt. Roman looks absolutely defeated. He's embarrassed in front of all of the tribe, so to speak. And you have a disgusted Rock looking at Roman and said, I couldn't even get you over in 2015. I gave you all of my ability to make sure that our family name continues to be where it's supposed to be. Now you've not only disappointed the Samoan culture, you've now sullied our family bloodline, our family tree, and then you sullied the tribal chief title, which should belong to Solo Sikoa at some point. But now, even more so, you've embarrassed me as the head chief. I am literally like a tribal king. You've embarrassed yourself. And he dresses down and dresses him down and dresses him down. And he's literally kicked out of that. Everything that he's done for those 3 years leading up to him holding on to that championship has gone up in flames. And The Rock has basically snatched it from him and left Roman there to sit down and take pieces of his own medicine going forward. And he then becomes literally a man unto himself. And that builds into what they do for the next year of trying to get Roman back over as a face. If it is done the right way with The Rock continuing this heel Hollywood TKO perspective. And they did a great job in building all of that within that small amount of time, based on the fact that they've used the knowledge that TKO and the UFC have done to build up pre-fight weigh-ins. And they literally turned that entire press conference into a UFC pre-fight weigh-in where somebody's poking a finger, somebody else is poking the finger. You spit in my face, I spit in your face. You slap me, I slap you. That's literally what happened. And then they bridged it out and they took that as the basis and then filled that in with their own WWE crafted expertise and turned that story into what they would now branch out further. It's like taking a piece of taffy and stretching it as far as you can and taking another piece of it and stretching it in a different direction. And it just continues to stretch and branch out. That's what they've done with this. And if that's the way that they're going, which I would love to see happen, the implications and all of the other things that are involved would absolutely melt the mind of everyone else. The only thing out of this deal, which was the sacrifice, and we've joked about it ad nauseum a few times, Seth Rollins was absolutely excoriated from last week to Monday, trying to stave off the booze and trying to book himself a match. And then being at this press conference where he literally, as I told you in our text, when we texted each other, he was literally old garnish at a restaurant on a table that you throw out. He was there to look pretty, but he was not needed.
Exactly.
He was rendered irrelevant, even though he's got the second most important championship in the company. And that's the thing that I didn't. It was like, wow. Now, I'm going to say this, and this is something that we've even talked about before. As we saw the cooking of Seth Rollins, we also saw the tribal chef do the cooking, and that was Roman Reigns. Whatever they've done to work on his mic skills or the promos or whatever he's done, what he says with belief, with distinction, with passion, and he believes what he's saying. And that's the difference in promos that he's cutting now as what he did when he was a face. Everything he says is believable. And what he said to Seth did damage in a little couple of things. One, it literally denigrated the importance of that world championship.
Exactly.
It made Seth look irrelevant.
Mm-hmm.
And if Cody would have picked up the mantle and said, yeah, I'll face you at WrestleMania and go after that world title, he would have looked like a complete idiot. So that was there. But those two promos that he did last week and what he said at the press conference were probably the two best promos that Roman has ever cut in his entire career. And it was perfectly done. And
They've been doing
made
good with Roman promos. I mean,
oh yes,
they've been doing
without
good
question.
with those. Yup. I mean,
And there are times there are times when he says something cheesy or something that makes it look like, yeah, you got
I'm
me,
gonna
etc.
smash Brock Lesnar.
Yeah. But there are times when he says something and it's like, wow, that was really good. And it was
exactly.
at the sacrifice of Seth Rollins. And we know that Seth is going to have that main event match potentially with Drew McIntyre. This is what I think is going to happen.
Peeps, I don't know. I want to give that match to Bayley so bad. I'm not gonna lie to you. I want to give that main event of night one to Bayley. I'm really keeping it $150 because that story,
the
story that's been brewing for about 2 years since she came.
Oh yeah,
them, you know. So that's how long that story's been. Drew versus Seth, or Drew, Sammy, and Seth, whatever it is. That's like a 3-month build. I can't sit there and give the main event to that. I understand, yes. But it would only make sense to give it due to the fact that they literally buried that title.
Yes.
That would be the only reason why. But it's like, then you got the fans sitting there like, I mean, Bayley versus Io was the much more prominent story.
Yes.
Wouldn't you give it to them? You know, and that's where I sit there and I look, because I'm just like, that story, we've been watching that story for 2 years now.
Yes.
And finally, if it's going to be coming to an end like this, it has to get the main event. You know, that's just how I'm thinking. But then again, you know, I think they'll make the right decision come time, because Triple H did say something along the lines of, look, you know, when it came down to giving Jimmy versus Kevin and Sammy the main event last year of night one, it was due to the fact that story was literally brewing since the inception of the bloodline. And of course, KO having his history with Roman Reigns. And then for him facing Roman again for, what was it, the second time at the Royal Rumble?
Yes. And it fit. It made sense.
So it made sense to have that match be the main event over Rhea and Charlotte, although that match delivered and could have easily been the main event. And it was literally match of the night for me.
Yes.
In all honesty, the storyline had to be given to the tag team match due to the fact of what the story was. So in the same sense, I think Bayley versus Io is going to go ahead and main event night one. It sucks because they literally buried Seth and they literally buried the World Heavyweight Championship. But I feel that whoever holds the championship after WrestleMania will at least give it some type of push and some type of credibility.
Now, here's my question for you. Let's say that Bayley, if Bayley got main event night one, I'm not going to complain because she deserves it for as long as she's been in the company to have that spotlight there. But then here's the interesting spot. What do you do with the World Championship match? Do you have the World Championship match with Seth and Drew on night one somewhere in the card? Or do you use that World Championship match to open up night two? You can have that match if you want to do something along those lines. You can have that. I don't like having the world title match as the first match of any show. If you've listened to us long enough to know I despise that. But if they're going to do something like that, do you have that still as night one, make it like a co-main event of night one and have the world title match first and then Bayley's match in the night? Or do you move that over to...
I hate when world title matches are like the first of any show.
Exactly.
And this is the problem with like 2-night WrestleManias. Because the value's still going to be on the WWE Championship.
Yes.
For me, if I'm looking at it the way that I'm looking at it, peeps, You give Bailey and Io the main event of night 1, and Seth and Drew they go on to night 2, and they're the last match before the main event. That's what I would say. Still give it the feel to go ahead and move over to the next match, but just be like, oh wait, there's more, because somebody has to be decided in this bout as well. They do it in UFC all the time, peeps.
But here's the thing that I'm thinking that I'm going to throw out there to add to part of that. As I've been saying before, and there's something that we don't factor in, is that if you have made that match first on one of the nights, we still have the sword of Damocles, which is Damian Priest. And at some point, I'm of the mindset, because they've done it before, where they'll usually wait until the day after WrestleMania or whatever's the case. But let's say they do decide to give everybody what they want, and they decide to have Damian Priest cash in at WrestleMania and potentially win the championship. That could be something that they could do. And it would work if it's the first match, because then everybody's thinking about it. Whoa, the first match, we already had a new world champion crowned, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. That's something that can be thought up and thrown in there.
Exactly.
But how would it be done?
Exactly. For me, then if you're going to go ahead and factor in Damian Priest, then I would say let them be the match before the main event of night 1.
Mm-hmm.
And then have Damian go ahead and like dethrone either Drew. Because we do know, look, if in all honesty, it would make sense that Drew would now go ahead and finally win in front of a bunch of fans
to get his moment.
Seth to get his moment. And we do know that him and Damian Priest aren't on good terms.
Remember, they tried to recruit him to Judgment Day a few months ago. So they can always go back to that. Well, this is the reason why I'm doing it.
So, exactly. So then have all of the Judgment Day ambush Drew. Damian Priest go ahead and cash in, win the World Heavyweight Championship. And then we move on to the main event. That would just be me. Or if you actually want to give him the defining moment, then you have the show. Then you have a main event. For me, I just still can't, think about having that story with Bailey and Io get overshadowed by this, because of course this is a 3-month build. That's just me. But if you want to give it the heist of the century moment, you have Damian Priest go ahead and defeat Drew McIntyre after Drew takes the belt off Seth in the main event. That would just be how it would go. But as I said, due to storyline wise, I just don't know, peeps. I just don't know. But still, you brought up something earlier within The Rock and the Bloodline post WrestleMania Night 2.
Yes.
So, peeps, here's what I'm thinking. Cody ends up winning. Pyro, everything just goes off. You have Cody on the ramp. Title held high. The Bloodline is still around the ring. Roman is still in the ring, kind of just like having the same moment that Cody had last year. But this time, Cody's on top, holding up the title, probably joined onto the ramp by, who knows, DDP, Brandy, maybe his daughter, Brody Jr. I mean, for God's sakes, peeps, you just have his whole family celebrating with him with the title in his hands. And then you have the other family that's having to suffer a defeat. Exactly, Taekwon. QT Marshall. Why not? Yes, exactly.
Throw him in there.
Throw him in there. But then you have the other family that just suffered defeat. You have Paul Heyman that's right next to The Rock. Solo and Jimmy that are on the other side of the ramp. Roman's still dead smack, just looking down at the floor. And he's just, he just can't believe it. Looking down at the ring mat, knows that he just lost the title and his prestige is gone. No longer having to worry about going and passing Hogan. None of that. It's done with. Paul gets the tribal necklace and is about to get ready to go ahead and get up the ramp to give it to Roman. The Rock stops him, dead in his tracks. Takes the necklace, looks at Roman. Roman's looking at him now, kind of dumbfounded, like, "What are you doing, cuz? What are you doing? Like, you ever seen Home Alone?
Yes.
when you got I think it's Harry, and he has a spider on his chest, and he's looking at
Yes.
Marv with the crutch, and he's just like, "What are you doing, Marv? Marv, what are you doing? Marv?"
Yes.
He, like, literally just like that.
Yes.
And instead, Rock takes the necklace, puts it over his neck, turns around and begins to walk away. Heyman kind of just like, he just, so what is this? Solo, Jimmy, they're looking at Roman like that. Heyman's just like, I mean, he's announcing himself as chief. Might as well just fall in line. Heyman begins walking. He's like, wise man. Looks towards his cousins. His cousins look at him, kind of shaking their head, and they follow in line as well. And WrestleMania like that with Roman dead smack in the middle of the ring without nothing.
Yes.
Nothing. Cody still found a way to take everything from him without even having to touch the family, so to say. It was The Rock's doing to touch the family.
And there you go. Hire us. There we go.
Exactly. So, peeps, look, we have about 50 days towards this main event, towards every situation, towards every title. Look, let them cook, okay?
Yes.
Let them cook. Because I'm
gonna enjoy these next 2 months. It's gonna be something.
Listen, I smell what they're cooking, and what they're cooking is good to my soul.
Yes.
So let's go ahead and let it happen and see what's in store for WrestleMania. But guys, with that being said, this marks the end for today's Saturday afternoon's main event. We appreciate you guys so much. Trust me, I can't go ahead and factor in enough how much you guys mean to us. You guys are always here every single Saturday in, every single Saturday out, within TikTok, within Instagram, within Twitter. You guys are amazing. We appreciate you all for tuning in. If you are on Twitch, Twitter, or YouTube, thank you for it all. We appreciate you guys. We will see you guys next week for episode 5. But always remember that all the good stuff happened here on Saturday afternoon's main event, where I, the Phenomenal One,
and I, the Peeps Nate, where we came,
we saw,
and in the words of the very busy wise man, Paul Heyman, we conquered.
We conquered, ladies and gentlemen. See you next week for episode 5. It's the Phenomenal One. It's the Peeps Nate. It's Saturday afternoon's main event. Peace, love, farewell.